What if I told you that the thing you're most afraid of, the thing stopping you from going after that dream, starting that project, or putting yourself out there, is also the thing that could completely change your life? Welcome back to the episode of Coffee and Clay, a cozy little space where we sip on some coffee, sculpt using polymer clay, and talk about a certain topic, kind of podcast style, but also kind of like you and I are just having a little coffee date. And today we are tackling a kind of big topic. It's kind of big. It's the fear of starting. And before you maybe get scared and click away, because I know it's scary to talk about the things we're scared of, just stick with me, because I promise you, if fear has been keeping you stuck, then you're about to see it in a whole new way. By the way, if you're new here, hi, I'm Emma. I run a small creative business out of my tiny New York City apartment. And right now I'm in the middle of planning out my next shop drop, which will happen in like mid-March. And so I'm in a big prototyping phase. So today we're going to make another prototype, which means I have no idea what the final product's going to look like. I mean, I have an idea in my head of what I want to create, obviously, but I haven't actually made the item before. But it is going to be inspired by this bag charm I made. So this is Breakfast at Florence's. It's a little bag charm. She has a little egg on her head. She is eating her little avocado toast in her purple sweater, and she has a little cup of coffee with it as well. And so I want to make a complimentary trinket dish that'll go along with this bag charm. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Let's do it. So on the menu today is making a bunch of miniature foods. We're gonna do eggs, coffee, avocado toast, and some strawberries, maybe as well. I think it'd be cute just to make a little breakfast spread. And throughout my life, if I've learned anything, it's that fear is not the enemy. It's just part of the process, because trust me, I am definitely not fearless. I feel fear quite a lot, to be honest. But it's how I respond to fear that makes all the difference. So first, I'm going to take this silver clay and we are going to make the actual little tray, like the base of the trinket dish. We grow up thinking that if we feel afraid, it's a bad thing, that it's a, quote, negative emotion, which I have a lot of feelings surrounding how our culture labels emotions as either good or bad, but that's a whole conversation for another time. But we believe that fear means we're not ready, that we should stop and not even consider taking that step forward. Maybe we should even do a little U-turn and reverse. We feel like we should wait until we feel totally confident before we take action. But here's the thing they don't tell you. That's actually kind of a lie. Actually, it is definitely a lie. But the truth is, if you wait until you feel 100% ready, until you're completely fearless, there is a high chance, a big likelihood, that you'll never start. But here's the good news. You don't need to get rid of fear in order to move forward. You just have to stop letting it be in charge. So let me tell you a quick little story. Before I started my business, I almost didn't. Not because I didn't love making things, not because I didn't like sharing things, but because I was afraid. Many months before I even technically started my business, I was contemplating just starting some social media accounts for Time Bloom Studio, just to get my art out there, to get some practice, and start it as a hobby. I was so nervous. It was literally a primary topic of discussion in my therapy sessions for weeks, and I'm being completely serious here. I was trying to get through the fear of starting, but the fear of starting is always way deeper than just starting. There's always a cause behind it. And at least for me, it was a fear of being seen. I was worried about sharing my art because it meant sharing this vulnerable side of me, the side of me that people, before starting to post about this online, really didn't see of me. And even after posting on social media and eventually many months later, I finally opened an LLC, but I was still afraid. I was afraid people would judge me, or maybe even worse, that no one would even care in the first place. I was afraid no one would buy anything, that this really isn't a profitable business to start, and I should be thinking with more of a business mindset, because who am I to think I can do this? But also I know there's a part of me that believes I can do this. So if fear isn't something to get rid of, then what do we do with it? So here I want to introduce you to a new concept, something that's actually changed my life, especially when it comes to these bigger things like confronting what we're scared of. And it is internal family systems, or IFS for short. And no, it's not at all about your family. It's in fact all about you. It's all about the different parts of yourself, the parts of yourself that make up a family within yourself. Keep with me. That essentially different parts of yourself come out depending on the different situations that you're in. We'll dive into this a little bit more because that sounds probably confusing if you've never heard of IFS before. So what is internal family systems, or IFS? Essentially, it is a certain type of therapy that a person can do. For example, a much more familiar and commonly known type of therapy is cognitive behavioral therapy. But IFS is another mode of therapy, essentially. And it has literally changed my life in no way that any other type of therapy ever has. And I think that's because it's allowed me to really deeply get in touch with who I really am. It's not only helped me change my mindset, it's helped me build my sense of self, and I've really grown the trust I have in myself. But if you're still a little unsure of what IFS is, that's okay. It's a kind of complicated topic, but let me give you a quick example. So you know how sometimes there's a part of you that feels excited to start something new, but another part that at the same exact time feels terrified? Or there's a part of you that really wants to take a chance, but then at the same time, there's another part of you that's like, hi, what you doing? Nope, don't do that. That's too risky. And that's because we're all made up of these different parts of ourselves, and each of these parts technically have their own job. And throughout our lives, we gain these different parts because at the end of the day, as humans, as animals technically, we're just trying to survive and keep ourselves safe. And also, if you've ever seen the Inside Out movies, it's actually a really good example of IFS there, how, there's all these little different creatures in your mind and they're all saying things and sometimes they're very contradictory. And internal family systems is helping us figure out all those different parts and work through those parts so we can really let our true self at our core guide us. And for me, I always kind of felt like a misfit growing up. I didn't really belong with the people around me. I'd look at the other kids and I was like, there's something different between me and you. And I don't know what it is, but we're not the same. Let's start making our avocado while we're talking. I never dreamed of marrying a man growing up, the typical career, the high-paying jobs. I always wanted to dress a little differently, spend my time differently, and personally, I needed a lot of alone time just to function. So socially, I wasn't doing the same things as other kids, And for me, a lot of this had to do with the fact that I was queer, that I'm neurodivergent. My brain literally functions and processes information differently. And I very quickly learned as a kid that I was different, which that is alone was fine. But the problem arose and the fear arose when I also learned that being different at that time and where I lived was not okay. But fear isn't trying to hold us back. It's just trying to keep us safe. However, sometimes in trying to keep us safe, it unintentionally hurts us. It just doesn't know that we're strong enough or that we're older than a little kid and we can handle whatever happens to us. So instead of trying to fight fear or completely get rid of it, what if we talk to it differently? Now, this might sound a little bit weird if you've never thought about it before. But one of the most powerful things I've learned is to actually talk to my fear. And yes, this is a part of IFS work. Imagine it's a little kid tugging at your sleeve saying, "This is scary. What if we fail? What if people judge us?" And instead of snapping at the fear, dismissing it, or ignoring it, what if we instead just said, "Hey, I hear you. I know you're scared, but I promise you we're okay. We can do this." And you hold hands with fear. Because what if instead of asking ourselves, what if I fail, we started asking, what if I succeed? So instead of letting fear be in the driver's seat, give her a little nudge, have her sit in the back seat, take that wheel, and drive. Is that a cheesy car analogy? Maybe, but. And I don't know if any of you are interested in this, but I could do like a whole episode on IFS alone and how it works, the multitude of ways it's changed my life. So if that sounds interesting, let me know in the comments below and I can make that. But for now, let's continue on with our topic and talk about one very specific type of fear that's often associated with the fear of starting, and that is the fear of what people will think. Oh, the worst fear of all. I think one of the reasons this fear is so huge and powerful is because at our core, all of us just want to belong. We want to be seen, we want to be accepted, we want to be appreciated. And somewhere along the line, we learned that being different meant to be judged and it wasn't good to stand out. And we just felt unsafe. And that's where all this came from again, a protective mechanism in ourselves. We felt unsafe, we want to be safe. We can't blame ourselves for this. Like, it's just literally how the human brain works and what it's like to be a human in this society, for better or for worse. I know, at least for me, as a closeted little queer kid growing up in a small Ohio town, even though I had a very supportive liberal family, which I am so grateful for, I still often felt bombarded by external messaging that who I was not okay. I closed myself off, I shrunk myself, and I looked forward to the day I could be an adult when hopefully it would all feel better. And have you ever heard the phrase, if you try to please everyone, you please no one? Basically, it means if you try to please everyone and you make yourself so bland and vanilla, then there's just nothing left of you. Like, just be yourself. It's impossible to please everyone. And instead of finding that to be a negative thing, let that be a freeing thing, that you don't have to try to please everyone. Because the thing about confidence that no one really tells you is that no one starts with it. You have to build it. And unfortunately, the only way to build it is by doing the thing that you're scared of, to prove yourself that it's really not as scary as you think it is. Because it's a misconception that you'll feel confident and then you'll take action, where it's actually the opposite, is that you take action even when you feel like you're not ready. And then through doing it, you build confidence. And then every time you do something scary, you end up just proving to yourself that you can do hard things. And it's really not as scary as our brain likes to believe that it is. And I know this because this is exactly what happened with Tiny Bloom Studio. And here I'm just making the color for the mug for the coffee. I like mixing Lovely Crew with the blue. What's this one called? I don't know. The thing has rubbed off. It's a light blue. I was terrified to post on Instagram for the very first time, and then I was even more terrified to film and then post my first YouTube video. It's scary putting yourself out there, but I did it anyways. And guess what? The world didn't end. Nothing bad happened to me. No one laughed at me. No one left any mean comments. And it kind of proved that my fear was not very rooted in reality, shall we say. And then I posted again and again and again. And I just kept posting. And did the fear totally subside? No. But it's a lot less terrifying than when I first did it. It's getting less scary every single time I post. And the same exact thing that happened with my business, with launching my website, with making my first sales, everything is scary at the very beginning. And then slowly over time, it becomes less scary. And I've become a little more confident in what I'm doing. And all of this has also proved that all of my initial fears, the things that I thought might happen, the way people might judge me, didn't happen. No one's been mean to me. So far, I don't want to jinx this, but so far to date, I've not received one hate comment, which is pretty amazing. So also, please don't bring hate on me now. I love this little safe space that's been created in this corner of the internet. The only thing that's happened since sharing my life and sharing my art and sharing my business is that I've gained support, and I've started to gain this wonderful community of people, and I'm starting to feel much more secure in who I am, because it's been like exposure therapy essentially. I'm sharing the most vulnerable part of myself, and people are liking it, and that feels really healing for me. So thank you all so much. Like, it really is very healing for me, and I feel so much more secure in myself, and I feel so much more proud of the work that I'm doing. And I could go ramble on about this forever, so I won't, we won't go that way, but just thank you. I promise you that whatever your fears in your head are, they're probably way exaggerated and are honestly not likely to happen. So be your awesome self, because the world needs more weird, cool, kooky, creative people, okay? Okay, let's keep going. So while we turn this little blue lump of clay into a little mug that then we'll fill with coffee, let's chat about how you can actually start today, even when things are messy, even when things feel hard, even when your hands are a little shaky and maybe your pits are a little sweaty. I know I get the nervous sweats. Maybe you do too. What are some things you can do? So I have created 5 tips for you. Very manageable, very doable. Number 1, befriend your fear. Instead of fighting fear, just acknowledge it. And the next time it shows up, you can try saying, "Hey fear, how you doing? I see ya. I know you're trying to protect me, but I'm okay." And the reason that this helps is because fear really isn't our enemy. As we've learned, it's just our brain, sometimes pretty clumsily and not doing it well, is just, trying to keep us safe. But remember that at the end of the day, you are in charge, not your fear. Number 2, take the smallest possible step, even if it feels ridiculously small. Like, what is the thing you could do right now, even if it feels laughably small and easy? What's one step you could do right now? And do that. For example, if you want to start drawing, maybe doodle for 30 seconds. Do you want to start posting online? Maybe first take the pressure off of actually posting and just start taking photos and videos and start practicing how you want to edit them. And then eventually you'll have something that then you'll probably like enough to start posting. And are you scared to start a big project? Maybe just get a blank piece of paper and just start brainstorming. The reason that this helps is to start with a small step is that big leaps can feel impossible. And what we need to focus on is building momentum over time. And the small steps is how you build momentum. Also, don't forget to celebrate all of your tiny wins and all of your small steps, because every little bit of the process deserves recognition. I'm now gonna make some little flowers to elevate the trinket dish just a little bit. But number 3 is to set a 5-minute timer. This is probably the most practical one out of all 5 of these. So basically, if actually starting feels impossible, literally set a 5-minute timer and just do something, anything that'll get you towards where you want to be for 5 minutes. And more likely than not, you'll find that once the 5-minute timer goes off, you'll be more motivated and able to then continue and to keep doing the thing. And the main reason this works is that fear thrives on hesitation. So if you can just get yourself started, then you'll find out that it'll be much easier to do it. And this 5-minute timer hack is basically just a way to start with very low pressure, very low commitment, literally 5 minutes. And if you stop after 5 minutes, that's fine too. That's great. You did 5 minutes, and that is something to celebrate. And then number 4 is to find inspiration, to find community. And this one feels pretty self-explanatory. Find the people that you look up to, that you can learn from. Also look at the art that's already created that you like, that you want to take inspiration from for your own art. And the only thing I want to say with this one to be cautious of is do not get stuck in the consumption only trap. Obviously, we all consume to some extent, but make sure that you consume, but then there's that balance where you'll stop consuming and you shift and you start creating. But the reason this is important though is that by seeing other people doing what you're doing, it will actually show your brain that what you want to do is possible. And it'll help you realize that you're not alone. And if they can do it, then you can do it too. And then number 5 is to know your why. While we want to focus on taking small steps, if we don't keep the bigger picture in our minds, we might forget why we're doing this in the first place. So make sure you're keeping your why in sight. Essentially, this is pretty literal. Write down the reason this matters to you, why you're doing it, and put it somewhere you'll see every day. This could be a sticky note in your mirror, a phone wallpaper, a note on the first page of your journal. Put your reason somewhere where you'll easily see it every day. So that way, on the days when you feel a little more unmotivated, not feeling like you want to keep going, this will remind you why you're putting in the effort. And just like that, she is all done, all sculpted, super, super cute. At least I think it's super cute. I hope you do too. So if you've been looking to start something and you haven't started yet, but you really, really want to, I hope this video can be your sign to just start doing it. And not because you're fearless, not because you have everything figured out, but simply because you want to. And the only difference between people who actually start doing the thing and don't do the thing is that the one group, the one that starts it, starts before they're ready, because they know that's the only way to start is do before you're ready, because you have to learn while doing it, which sucks, but you just have to. It's the way it works, okay? And if they can do it, then you can do it, and I can do it, and all of us, we can do it. But before we end this video, is that I want you to, if you feel comfortable, put in the comment, what is the thing that you've been wanting to start, but you've been too scared to start? And then I want us all to read through the comments and then support all the other people. So that way, before you even take that first action, we can start just cheering each other on and start that momentum. And if this video resonated with you, maybe you could give it a like, maybe share with a friend who you think might need to hear it as well. And if you want more cozy chats like this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you're notified of when I post more of them in the future. There will be more coming. I'm very excited to film them. And actually, I think that's all I have to say. I think I've said all I need to say in this video. Besides, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here and supporting this small channel. I'm still a very small creator starting her journey, so it really, really means a lot to me. And I'll see you in the next episode of Coffee and Clay. But in the meantime, do something creative. Do one little thing to get started with the thing you're scared to do. Yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.